Hi everybody, my name is Sarah and I am a program manager for Best Buddies out of our Chicago office. Today I'm going to show us how to get started with creating a Flipgrid community space. So we'll come here to flipgrid.com. It'll fill in for you that info.flipgrid.com, but just flipgrid.com will bring you here. You see that big empower every voice. That's why I love Flipgrid so much, is that for students who still have access to technology, it's a good bridge for people where something all the way up to a Zoom type level where everyone's on at the same time isn't necessarily a great fit, whether that be because of technology access, device access, or they just feel comfortable in smaller settings. Flipgrid really makes this a great fit because everyone can still have video conversations and upload things, but they can do it on their own time, and they can go back and fix up what they said if they didn't feel comfortable with what they shared, and really kind of make it their own and add fun pictures and drawings and things like that. So it's super fun. So if you haven't started with Flipgrid, there's a really easy sign up. It's all connected to your email account, whether it be through Microsoft or Google. So that is super handy. It's really fast. I've already created one, so I'm just going to log in. So you can see it gives you that Google login or Microsoft login. I'm logged into my email and account in the background, so it'll pull it up for me. I don't have to type in my password another time, anything at all. So it'll just go straight in with so many different accounts and things to remember. I find that to be really helpful and something that I'm super thankful for of Flipgrid. So I've already created one for a smaller group of students before, and so we'll hit create a group. And so, I'm sorry, that was for a larger group of students. So I'll hit create a group, and we have two options, this private or public. So I like to think of this as your two-factor authorization versus just having that one simple password. So you can see these group name and join code sections are the same, so I will fill them in here. So group name, because I'm not going to actually use this, I'm just going to make it something short. But it's what you're calling your overall, community space. So it's what's going to be across the header. And then your join code is what you're going to want everybody to be able to remember. So it'll automatically fill in with your last name and some various numbers. And you can just make it something simple. So this would stand for Best Buddies in Illinois. And so when students are coming to access this, they would either go to flipgrid.com and then enter in the join code section, whatever you've created that to be, or they could come to a URL specifically, flipgrid.com/your join code. So then next, for that two-factor piece, every student, in addition to having to enter that join code, would want to also enter in, their individual join code. And so how you create those, one of two ways. So you can do student email. If you're creating this for a Best Buddies chapter and every student has an email through the school, this could be a really, really helpful and easy way. So they're not really remembering anything different other than their school email. And I haven't played with that piece of it before because I just don't have a group of students who have the same account email system. But I believe that it would work the same as when you're logging in as an educator, where if you're already logged in the background, it'll just fill in and go nice and easy. We'll use the student username example for right now because that one's a little bit more complex. This could be really handy though if every student has a student ID, and if you have an Excel sheet of that, you would be able to upload that as a comma separated, I don't remember what the V stands for, file. If you don't have an Excel sheet already created with all the students' login information, you can enter it right here on Flipgrid by hand. That will take a little minute, or you can download a template from them and then go in and upload it. I find that template to be super, super handy. I'll tell you about those badges in a second here. So what they will give you right at the beginning is, example of the first name, last name ID. You will need to have every student's first name and last name input because when they're responding to things, what's going to show up is their first name and last name. So we can't leave those blank. But then we can, either enter in those student IDs that they already have, or you can create something. So when we were doing this for a group of students that didn't really have any similar ID or email in common, what we used were the first 2 letters of their first name, first 2 letters of their last name, the year 2020, and then we had some additional information at the end. We don't need to be that fancy necessarily for smaller groups of people. So you can see I gave that example here with some famous British boy band members. So for Niall here, if we were to do with that same pattern, it would be NIHO 2020. And then I would delete this section that says the student 1, student 2, student 3, would delete that, and I would come over here and upload it. I'm going to minimize this here. For your students where, remembering that individual code here like that isn't going to be the best fit, if they're wanting to access Flipgrid on their phone or something else that can scan a QR code, they can just print out an individual student badge and have it handy, in their binder or something like that. So they'll have an individual student QR code, and then what's cool with that is that in addition to having an individual code, you'll also have a code for the full group of everyone together, whether you choose private or public. And then in addition, if you have administrators at your school that or other people who are going to want to look at what's happening in your Flipgrid but don't necessarily want to create any content themselves or reply to any content themselves, you can turn this on, and then instead of having their individual student username, they'll have their own password, or you'll have a password that's just for all guests. So that can be something that's really handy to keep in mind as well. So I'll go back here and I'll do this on the public end of things. So I would call ours Best Buddies in Illinois 2020, 2021. We're using this for virtual engagement so that people can get to know people from across the whole state. And then I'll use that same code I had before, BBIL 2020. I will click Next. Select a topic comes up because I did have a chapter before, and that was to say hello and to share a fun fact. I'm going to skip that for right now so that I can show how to do it in a video format. So skip for now. So it pops up where you can really easily input this into Google Classroom, Teams, Remind, have that QR code generated, or just the general, code for the website. You can also just copy it there. So I'll hit Go to Group. It comes up here. It'll auto-populate one of the various template options for you. But if you decided later on that you wanted to change your group name, your join code, or the level of privacy that you have there, so say you started as public to see if Flipgrid was going to be a good fit for your students in your state, and later on decided we want to make this more private, you can then go in and do the same thing with the usernames or the emails. So I'm just going to keep it public for now, but this is the same space where you would be able to change what's going across that big header. That's what all of the students will see when they're not on this educator view. So if you want to upload a picture of the students or your school or something like that, you can choose. They have these different options here. I am not going to pick one for right now, but yeah, that is welcome to Flipgrid. That is what it looks like. Thanks so much.